potential. America has always been a nation in the process of becoming, in process of change. It is an immigrant nation.
An excerpt of Harvest of Empire premiering this week in New York and Los Angeles, based on the book Harvest of Empire, History of Latinos in America, by the award-winning journalist and Democracy Now! Co-host Juan González. Juan, again, a co-host with the New York Daily News, author of 3 other books, including News for All the People, The Epic Story of Race in the American Media, which is also just out in paperback, and founder and past president of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. We're very pleased that Juan is with us here in the New York studio, not in his usual guest chair, but as a guest, not in his usual host chair, but as a guest today. And along with the film's co-director, Eduardo López, we welcome you both to Democracy Now!
Thanks. And it's a different perspective on this side of the table.
That's right. So you wrote this book years ago, Juan. Then it came out again, updated, and now it's in a film. Why have you chosen to go this route?
Well, it wasn't my choice, really. It was the producers who came to me several years ago. They've actually been working on this film for about, I think it's 7 years now?
7 years.
Yeah, and they came to me several years ago that they really were excited about the perspective that my book was putting out. My book actually came out in 1999 initially, and it's now, I think, used in about 200 college courses around the country as sort of an introductory survey text on the Latino community in the United States. And they said they wanted to make it into a film. And I said, are you sure? My book is kind of more of a history, and it delves. It's kind of complicated because it goes into every one of the different Latino groups in the country, how they came here, what drove them here. But they said they thought they had a way to do it.
Eduardo, the way?
The way was quite difficult because it was a 7-year journey between the time we first met with Juan about the book and today. And I really would not be sitting here with you if it wasn't for the hard work and sacrifice of the producer of the film, Wendy Thompson Marcus. And with her, we felt in 2005 that the kind of language that was being used to describe immigrants, and specifically Latino immigrants in the media, was just unacceptable. Every night you would hear very derogatory terms being used to describe us. And we, both of us being Latino immigrants, Wendy from Peru and me from El Salvador, we knew the real story. And we had read the real story in Juan's book, and we just felt compelled to take action because we really felt that the United States, that our fellow citizens needed to know why Latinos had come to the United States, the real reasons, the roots, the root causes of immigration. And in just about all of the cases when you look at history, you see very clearly, as Juan explains in the book, that our different waves of migration are connected to actions that the United States took in our countries in different times for different reasons. But it's very consistent throughout history, this connection between our foreign policy and immigration.
And so, Juan, now, I mean, the first day of the Democratic Convention in Charlotte, a bus pulled up in front of the gates, the Undocu bus, and scores of people got out chanting, "No papers, no fear." 10 got arrested in the pouring rain as the police poured in. Immigration is one of the key issues of this election year, and yet you don't have presidential candidates who have a vastly different approach to it.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's increasingly become an issue, not just in the big cities where New York, L.A., and Miami, but in the heartland of America, and especially in the South, where in North Carolina, for instance, there's been a huge increase in the Latino population of North Carolina, but most people don't understand how those Latinos got there. It's a largely Guatemalan migration, and it's largely people who were recruited in the 80s and 90s to come and work in the textile mills of North Carolina, because part of what I try to show in the book is the enormous connection between the needs of capital of American expanding industries in the United States and this recruitment labor. So what happened basically is in the 80s, as more and more Salvadorans and Guatemalans were fleeing into the United States as a result of the civil wars in their countries and the repression in their countries, they came here to the United States, and there were industries that were needed cheap labor. And so you had the meatpacking industry in the Midwest began recruiting many Mexicans to come to Dodge City and to come to Des Moines and to come to all of these, the meat center of the country. And you had the poultry industry in Arkansas, and you had the textile industry in North Carolina. And they usually went by nationality. So you had a large Guatemalan population that developed in North Carolina. So I think that's part of what I try to show in the book, and to a large measure the film captures this process of migration, the push of the repression that occurs in the countries, in the sending countries, and the pull of American businesses seeking cheap labor.
We're going to break and then come back to this discussion. Juan González is here along with Eduardo López. Their film Harvest of Empire, the history of Latinos in America, based on Juan's book. We'll be back.